right, welcome back to the Big League Preseason podcast. We're a little ways underway here now into the 2007 season, but we still have to review the Ice Conference teams. We're going to take a look over here, what's going on and what we kind of expect these teams to do this season. We're a month in, so we have a little sneak peek of what's unfolded so far. But usual fashion, we'll start off with our conference champions over in the Ice Conference, and that was Matt and the Galveston Gremlins. They went down 4-2 to Chuck in Louisville in the conference championship game, but had a great season, had a great run through the postseason, and we're off to a good start here already in 2007. And they have some really nice pieces, so it's not surprising that they are. So, like looking at their team here real quick, Jeff Brown's back, and he had a tremendous season last year. Really broke out at the age of 25. Back-to-back 5 war seasons, too, for him to start his career. So this guy has been absolutely fantastic. Couple playoff MVP series MVPs last year on their run to the championship series. He's off to a super hot start this year as well. So Jeff Brown, tremendous start to his career. Definitely a super nice player there at the third base spot for Matt. And looking at this team, I mean, he's got some good hitters and some good pitching. Like he's got it all. You know, I like Chris Jackson. He's getting old now. He's 37. He's definitely declined, but he's a nice seasoned veteran there that has some power. Jim Wyant, he's definitely bounced around a little bit. I think, Baltimore to Galveston directly. Yep, it looks like actually that was just two locations, but Jim Wyant's been a solid player throughout his career in the league. Again, he's definitely declining as well as he's up there in age, 36 years old. So got a couple veterans in the lineup there with Jeff Brown. Let's see, looking here at Ricky Cervantes. He's a younger guy at second base. Second season. We're playing, just under half a season last year for Gremlins. Isaac Winfield coming back. Had a really great season last year, and he's off to a pretty good start again this year. I really like Winfield. He's a spark plug player, so he brings that to your clubhouse. But, I mean, those bars are super nice as well. He kind of, I don't know, it was rookie year 2005, it looks like. He definitely, I feel like maybe underperformed. 3.2, that's kind of weird to say. It looks like he only played 92 games. Yeah, it looks like he's maybe a little injury prone, which is fortunate, but when he's healthy, he makes a huge difference in the lineup. Former first round pick, late first round pick, 20th overall. But I do like their lineup overall. Let's see, Solorzano is a nice defensive catcher. And then looking at their rotation, I think that's really where he shines. Me, this is one of the better rotations I think that we'll see here in the Ice Conference. Start things off. Eric Ryan, I really like this guy. Obviously, unfortunate that he's a selfish guy over there, but he's put up back-to-back just fantastic seasons, including winning the Pitcher of the Year award in 2006. So a real stud on the Gremlins as their ace. And then, of course, Miguel Lugo, also just a really tremendous pitcher. Has pitched pretty well. He's off to a slow start this year, but back-to-back 200 inning pitch campaigns and 5-hour war. So he's just been really solid pitcher here for the Gremlins. And then he has the rest of his rotation filled out here with lefties. So I always think that lefties obviously have a little advantage. So to have your depth pieces be left-handed pitchers, that might work out for him. And the ballpark here that it looks like, I don't know, pretty even keeled lefties to righties. Even ballpark altogether. Pretty easy to hit in this ballpark. So Isaiah Alexander, I remember he picked up Alexander pretty early on in a trade. Yeah, back in 2002. And this guy's been at the back of the bullpen ever since. He's been pretty good here. If you look, he's up to 165 saves on his career already, through just 4 into his 5th season as the closer here for the Gremlins. But he's a mainstay in the back of that rotation, so you know what you're going to get. And then he's got some really great pieces as well to help set up for Alexander, Gary Liller. Another piece you can't sneeze at. I mean, this guy would be a closer on 100% of the teams in this league if he wasn't on the Kremlins. So, um, yeah, he's tremendous. And he's a fan favorite. So he's also bringing in those butts and seats and creating some revenue for the team. And then Mario Cruz as well, this young guy here. I mean, so he's got a really great back end of his bullpen. I know he's still developing, but he looks like he's going to be well. So I think Galveston's going to be good again this year. Obviously, off to the 16-10 start, so not the boldest prediction I've ever made, and coming off of the championship. But I think the pitching is going to get better. It looks like they struggle a little bit right now, and I think the hitting is going to be just fine. And Matt's not been afraid to sell and to buy at the deadline if he thinks it's going to improve his team or if he thinks he needs to go another direction. So he's an active player when he needs to be in terms of hitting that trade market. So I feel like they're in good shape as they go forward here into the rest of the season. Of course, last year they won 104 games. They finished second place in the Jade division behind Las Vegas. And we'll look at them in just a second as soon as we look at Matt's system real quick. Are we? Reset. Yeah, he's got a couple top prospects here. Looks like most of them are down in the lower levels. He's got a couple guys here in AAA. So Jay Russum injured right now, but like he could be okay. This is a nice piece with quite a few pitches, right? So he's not far away. That might be some mid-season call-up that really boosts him down the stretch. Jason Moats, another pitcher. So he's got pitching depth in the system right now that's ready to be called up almost. 3 different pitchers, kind of right on the cusp of being major league ready. But yeah, I think Galveston's going to be in good shape going forward this season, even if he suffers an injury or two. He's got arms in the waiting. Moving on to the next team, as we just mentioned, second place Las Vegas. Zach finished in first place in the division last year with 105 wins, and I didn't even mention this off the top of the podcast, but obviously the Jade division was the best division in baseball last year. They had 300 win teams. They had another team in Atlanta winning 93 games. Denver won 85. Sixth place in this division was 82-80. So everybody here was really strong, and I think looks like at least most of these teams are off to a pretty hot start and making a move for it again this year. But we'll get further into that. But anyways, Las Vegas last year, 105 wins. Taking a look at their team, they're bringing back a lot as well, I believe. We have Verdugo, of course, as kind of the main piece of this team, although there's a lot of really great pieces. But Verdugo, he's a stud. He's 25 still. Can you believe that? Surprised he doesn't have an MVP already. It's been close. Rookie of the Year, 2005. So he's only played the 2 seasons, but definitely a tremendous player offensively, and not a terrible outfielder. So I just really love this guy. Set some records last year. I think 163 RBIs set the league record. I think maybe even 137 runs might be the TBL record now. Look at that. That one. Single season records that went down last year. There's a couple here on the board, and Verdugo is one of them with 137 runs and 163 RBIs. So, yeah, 25 years old, tremendous player. Sugar right there in the middle of the lineup. Aaron Harrison in the cleanup spot. So, Sean Hall here. This guy is a rookie, it looks like, and he looks like he's going to be tremendous. So if Las Vegas didn't already have enough offense, here comes another piece. Looks like he was the number 2 prospect. Yeah, and was the 10th overall pick in 2002. So Sean Hall, he's on the scene and he's been good so far. He's off to a good start as a rookie, on pace for a 6 WAR campaign for a month. So really this lineup might be the best in baseball. I know we're going to look at New Orleans real quick and what they put on the table last year, but man, Las Vegas is scary up and down. I mean, look at George Engel, and he's 80 potential here, 65 of 80. Just tremendous bats, tremendously young. I mean, of course, Zach's gonna have to worry about these contracts here in a couple of years and who gets paid and who doesn't. So somebody's gonna hit the free agent market. But he's in his window to win right now, and I would put him up there with anybody to win the championship here, at least be competitive. We haven't even gotten to the pitching, and looking at the pitching, Willie Fonseca, the number 1 pitcher on the staff here, also 25 years old. So 4 really nice pitches. Looking at his record last year, just 23-2, just tremendous run support when he was in the game. With that offense and just being a top pitcher with an offense like the Las Vegas High Rollers have, you're going to get a lot of wins and not lose a lot of games. I think 23-2, man, that might stand as a record here in this league for a while if we kind of watch this. I'm not sure anybody's going to get a 24-win season. Guess you never know. To see what happens as we go on. The rest of the staff, there are some other good pieces as well, young pieces as we look down through, like Elijah Porter, Chris Puente. I mean, this guy looks like he's going to be really good. A really nice personality, a leader type personality here in the clubhouse. He's a ground ball pitcher. He's going to have, if that changeup continues to come in, which it looks like it's developing, he's going to have 4 really nice pitches. And looking over at, again, like Porter here, got 3 solid pitches with the changeup to throw in as well. Delgado, who's already 4-0 on the season, the young season here through April. Another decent piece to have here. Not an ace, but definitely a solid rotation piece. Like everything about this team, bullpen has some nice pieces as well. Not as nice as Galveston's pieces, but still enough to close the door on most of these games. And many of these games might not be close if you have a really good starting rotation and a tremendous offense like he has. I mean, look at these offensive statistics already. 150 runs in April, 44 home runs this month. Like that's tremendous. That's insane. And even on the pitching side, I mean, he leads in pitching WAR right now. He's first in FIP. Like his team is the team to beat possibly this year. We'll have to keep an eye on Zach and the High Rollers and see. He thinks he has enough to stay put if he makes a move. I mean, those guys again are all so young. Let's just look at the contract page again real quick too. He's got some guys locked up already. So 21 million for Cepeda, who's 27, and he's really, really nice. We didn't even look at Cepeda. So for a catcher, I mean, he's got great ability, great arm. He can hit. That guy's definitely worth the 21 million, but that's also going to make these other guys more difficult once they come up arbitration. Maybe we'll see if the window works out perfectly, right? It could just kind of be a passing of the torch, and Las Vegas could be good for a really long time. We'll tell here. Got a lot of these guys locked up for a couple, 4 years. Like he's using the double team option strategy. Most of his players. Right, looking at system real quick. He still has some top players, so we know that Sean Hall is up already, but Ryan Garza is the top 10 recruit here, and he's starting to develop. He's in Double-A already. Where Zach has him playing. He Double-A last year. He's struggling a little bit up there. We'll see what he turns into here in the end. Jeremy Dunn, he's not far away. He's in Triple-A, and he looks like he's probably ready. So, this might just be a matter of time before he joins the rotation or comes into the bullpen and is best closer in baseball, one of the two. Yeah, Las Vegas looks really, really strong. They still have a really deep system. I think they're the team to beat right now, and maybe the organization to beat in a very crowded, competitive Jade division. But on to the next team. Third place in the Jade was New Orleans Mudcats, and kind of had a bowing out early, I believe. Lost in the wild card, they got swept, which was really surprising, unfortunately for them. Had a really tremendous season. I think it was their best season so far. You know, they've been in the playoffs 3 straight years, back-to-back conference championships, where they couldn't get over that hump. And then, yeah, last year, certainly disappointing for Noah. And taking a look here real quick, we kind of knew this team is having just a scary, scary good offense last year. And I think most of those pieces are back. I did a really bad job of tracking free agency and who went where this year, but yeah, no, I feel like most of these pieces are back. So we got to take a look at, oops, on the wrong team here. So Swart and Miller are back in the 3-4 spot, and Steve Miller again, not the best personalities on the team. Although I feel like Steve Miller used to be disruptive. Am I wrong about that? So maybe he's growing as an individual, no longer disruptive. DJ Swart, high work ethic guy, and he's been tremendous for New Orleans back-to-back years. He's off to a really hot start this year. Him and Danzig are trying to set some records here. His 18 home runs, he's on pace for 112 home runs. I think Frank Danzig's on pace for 130 home runs. Obviously, I don't think either of those things are going to happen, but we might see a new home run record at this point. It's like McGuire Sosa right now. So keep an eye on the Swart Danzig battle, back and forth. And looking at Marcelo Bland, I mean, 35 years old, but this guy hasn't really lost too much of a step. There's that disruptive personality we are talking about, but disruptive when you can win a MVP award, I guess you'll take it. And he was the MVP in the Ice Conference last year, so put up 9 WAR. I mean, 46 home runs, 120 RBIs. Still has it. That's not the best, not the easiest spot to have an impact player at the catcher position. But we do have quite a few good catchers in our league, I feel like. Looking through the rest of this lineup, the 7, 8, 9 hitters are nothing too special, it looks like. So definitely not as deep, I would say, as Las Vegas in terms of their lineup this year. They really do have, their 1 through 5 is just tremendous, and then the 6 through 9 is, it leaves some things to be desired. Mike Wilson's not a bad player. I like these bars. Low work ethic guy though, and I don't know. He hasn't really put in a full season yet. Let's see if that's not. He just wasn't the guy last year, and this year it looks like he's being asked to be the guy. So we'll see if that works out in Noah's favor. Flintock guy is done. It looks like. Yeah, it looks like he's starting to go in the wrong direction. He's only 26 years old. 30 avoid K is pretty hard to overcome. Guy's hitting 195. He's hit 5 home runs, but worth it. And at the rotation here, and not really that top end piece. This team seems a bit shallow in terms of pitching depth. We do have a couple injuries here as well, but I don't know if these guys are going to hold up throughout the year. Like Bennett wasn't very good last year, bullpen, and now he's starting. I mean, he's not been bad so far this year. Redondo, I don't know how much he pitched to see. He hasn't started yet, so that's moving the rotation. So we'll see what happens here with their rotation. That gives me pause. I mean, they're off to a really great start at 17-9. I don't like the pitching staff very much. I feel like it's not super deep. In general, a lot of A lot of pieces that aren't fully developed and just not a lot of top end pieces. So we'll see if that holds up for him. I mean, the pitching again hasn't been terrible this year if you kind of look at the team stat rankings, but I think it's all about the offense for New Orleans this year, and if that offense can continue to carry them to successful seasons, and at 100 wins last year and off to a good start this year, I feel like they're probably going to be there again this year. And we remember New Orleans won what, like 20 something, 22 straight games? Was it more than that? 20, 21 games in a row last year. I think every team, like 5 of the 6 teams or 5 of the 7 teams in this division, won 10 plus games at one point in a row. So um, outside the fact that it's a super competitive division, I feel like New Orleans has enough to be a playoff team again, just with their top of the order pieces. Get out the system real quick. Not a lot of depth, not at all. Got a few nice pieces here. Super far away. I mean, those are international complex guys. I mean, we haven't seen what they can do at all. 17 years old, 17 years old. So obviously Noah's in his window right now. He's been in the postseason several times in a row. Um, Not sure what's going to be different this year though. He may be on the downward side of his arc, and every run ends. I think he's going to get there this year, but can he get over a conference championship hump that he couldn't get over 2 years ago? Time will tell, I guess. All right, let's bring it on to the fourth team here in the division, and that would be Atlanta last year. Atlanta was a 93-win team last year, and Jason is the only GM who has made the postseason all 6 seasons here. He's had a super successful team. Obviously, he is a 2-time TBL champion, the only 2-time TBL champion. So things are not looking good for the 2007 version of the Atlanta Smashers right now. So 7-19. I know the preseason predictions were not kind to Jason as well. And I'm not sure what's changed on his team. I haven't dug too deep into it, but let's take a look and see if we can identify what's going wrong here in Atlanta. I mean, I feel like the lineup looks like, well, I mean, in terms of stat rankings, both sides of the ball seem to be an issue right now. He's not scoring runs and he's giving up a lot, but um, looking at some of these pieces, I mean, I feel like they should be performing better than they are. Maybe it's just, partially having a slow start. They're still pretty young. Greg Gross here is his 3rd season, I think. Put up 2 back-to-back, just tremendous seasons. Oh, Greg Gross has been around for a minute. I'm totally wrong. Greg Gross is in his 6th season here with the Smashers. Um, but yeah, no, he's a nice piece, and he's kind of just underperforming just a little bit. Jordan Brown is maybe starting to trend down a little bit as a first baseman. He's underperforming. I think the offense isn't hitting as well as they should be, it looks like right now. But I do believe, Atlanta has still some of these really nice pieces. And we've seen Jason get off to a slow start in other seasons where I think he was 8 or 9 games under 500 and he marched back and he was still a playoff team. So he's not out of it yet. But again, this division's probably never been as competitive as it is right now. So trying to get back into things this year may prove more difficult than they were the previous time he struggled. He mentioned Diego Orta as a big part of his championship run in his 2 World Series, and he's still been a tremendous player year after year. Guy at 40 career WAR already at the age 31 season, and he's just been consistent, absolutely consistent. So still doing it there in the 4 spot for Asher. Looking at the pitching, Francisco Fonseca, I do like this guy. He's got the 4 pitches. The workhorse can go super, super deep into ball games when he's not putting up a 7 ERA. That's definitely troubling to see, right? For a 32, almost 33-year-old pitcher. He is on an expiring contract, so at least Jason's not locked into a lot of money on that one. But outside of Fonseca, this rotation is very similar to the Mudcats. There's not a ton of depth here. soft throwing, ground baller. The lefty here with quite a few good pitches, but again, pretty low movement, so he's going to give up a bunch of long balls. Bullpen's not very good either. So just a lot of mid-range pitchers on this team. So yeah, well, I think the offense will improve. I think, Atlanta can definitely have a better output on that side of the ball. I'm not sure how much the pitching is going to improve. They may be in trouble this season. This may be the first time that we see them on the sidelines and in the draft lottery. Looking at their books here, because again, every great run ends, and it's been certainly a great run for Atlanta. He's got some big contracts here locked up for a little bit, including Jason Holmes here, who not pitching well at all. I guess these are arbitration years. He can just get right out of those. That's no big deal. But yeah, it looks like he's locked up on the books for a good amount over the next couple seasons. So he may be looking to sell. He may be going in another direction now. So we'll see how the season turns out for him and what he decides to do. On to his system. Let's see if he still has a system. The top system for a little while there, and that's why he's been able to sustain success over the first 6 seasons. It's finally starting to be chipped away at a little bit, but he still has some top prospects here. Ben Kornbluth looks like he's starting to get close in terms of pitching support for this team, some much needed pitching support. Probably still maybe a season away. We'll see how it develops here as we go through the rest of this season. Ramos, third baseman, maybe on the cusp, but hey, I think his third baseman's pretty good if I remember correctly. So, yeah, that is the Atlanta Smashers. That brings us to our next team in the division, and that was the Denver Dynamite. Denver, one of those franchises have yet to make the playoffs, and of course, they've gone through a couple different owners. Of course, now Jay has taken over the Dynamite, super active on the trade block, has done a million different things. And this team was super competitive last year. 85 wins is nothing to slouch at, man, mixing up my words here. And they were good through most of the season. And if it wasn't for, being in a division with, 300 win teams and a 90 win team, they probably would have been a playoff team. Looking at their lineup this year, let's see what they've done to kind of turn things around. They've got Danny Herron, a young guy here in his 3rd season, not fully developed still. He's only 24 years old. But he's played pretty well. See if he takes that next step this season, becomes a superstar there in the leadoff spot. Randy Scott actually looks like he's going in the other direction for the Dynamite, though he's off to a pretty good start so far. 3-time All-Star here. Scott had a pretty nice career for starting the TBL as a 32-year-old. Take Dev down this year, or was that sooner? Let's see. Yeah, he really dropped off a cliff this year, so that's unfortunate. His contract looking like he's locked up this year and next, so that's tough. He probably won't be worth that contract by the end of it, but he's still producing this year. Let's see how long they can still get production out of him. And then, of course, Rob Coffey's getting up there in age as well. 34 years old, about to be 35 this season, and off to a pretty slow start. Disruptive personality. Like, he's just locked up this year, and then that team option. So Hector Campos was the big signing for Denver last year, and he really performed. He kind of maintained that status of an elite player. He took, maybe just a small step backwards statistically last year, but that could be, just adjusting to a new team. And just looking at the rest of this lineup, there's no one that's really that really stands out as being tremendous. So I think he really did a lot with his roster last year. 85 wins was a really nice season to have. We haven't looked at the predictions this year. I'm kind of curious what this division's looking. Denver predicted to have a similar season this year with 83 wins, and this division's looking to be good again this year. Not as good as last year, but 6 out of the 7 teams predicted to have a winning record, including Atlanta there. Atlanta was predicted 90-71. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I love this lineup. And again, there's some aging pieces here, but I do think we're going to look at his system, and I think there's some pretty nice pieces rising for Denver. The big move here this year, and this is kind of a cheat code, right? Because if this was a preseason podcast, we wouldn't know about this tremendous move that Denver made. But they brought in Ricardo Anguiano, and he has been really, really good in his career. And now he's on Denver, and he's only 27 years old. I think this was a really big pickup. And I don't know what he gave up for him, but I don't think it matters because it's so hard to find pitching this good. Look at this injury history on a starting pitcher. I mean, that's as good as it gets right there. This guy is a bona fide number one. He is number one. Wonder if he's going to get a nickname at some point. We will see. But he is he's tremendous. That 80 changeup, 75 fastball combo. Top of the line stuff. Love this move for Denver. Look at the contract. That's not even fair. Not even fair. Just like a out of nowhere guy. When was he drafted? Let's pitching stats here. So 23 years old. At the TV. He was drafted 2002. Looks like. So yeah, he was like a 55, and he just devved up big time. 50, 45, took off. Crazy. 10th round pick. Round 10, pick 5, and now he's a top pitcher in the league. All right, and then looking at the rest of the rotation here, tongue twister. Daniel Jennings has been pretty good so far too. He's still developing. Off to a really nice start this season. 4 really nice pitches for Jennings. Got Jennings in a trade with Milwaukee. So again, Jay's been maybe the most aggressive trader in the league since he joined, and he's made some big moves to bring in key pieces. Not afraid to add pieces that are going to just solidify that rotation. Another guy that just doesn't get injured too. So if you're counting on him to bow out at any point in the season, it's probably not going to happen. So while I don't love the lineup, I really do love his rotation. I mean, not a lot of weak pieces. Chris Siegel only has the 3 pitches, but this guy's really, really nice. Well, off to a little slow start. I'm sure he's going to figure that out because, as it says right here, Chris is super smart. Yeah, I think he's going to get it turned around. Then headache, nothing special, but also for a 4 or 5 pitcher, nothing to slouch at. We've seen some rotations that don't look nearly as good as Denver's. Looking at the bullpen, I think it's kind of middle of the pack, maybe slightly above average as you look through these guys. But, it leaves him some flexibility to see what's working, I think. And then if he needs to make some moves, again, we know he's not afraid. Jay's not afraid to make some moves. So if some guy's sucking here, he'll ship him out and he'll find the piece that works. Again, I mentioned I was in the league with Jay before he joined this one, and he was really good. He won some championships. So he's coming as well. There's some really talented GMs in the Jay division, and winning here is not going to be easy for anybody because a lot of you guys know what you're doing. So. All right, let's take a look at Jay's system here real quick. then move on to the next team. So he has maybe the best system in the league. Is that right? Oh, Boston does now, at least in terms of excuse me, top 100 prospects. Las Vegas we just looked at has a real system. Well, we just mentioned. Um, the Denver system's great. I mean, he's got a lot of top end pieces here. Aren't ready yet, but yeah, a lot of depth. So 35 top 500 prospects. I'm pretty sure that's the top in the league. And I guess when you keep trading away your first round pick for a plethora of draft picks from someone else, that allows you to build this kind of depth in your. So I like it. Two different approaches. See which one of these GMs approach works best. 5 years. All right, on to the next one. That was the Fort Collins Roosters. AFC Kyle had kind of a bounce back year last year. You know, he was a playoff team his first couple of seasons, and he's been on a drought at least looks like his first 3 seasons. That's 1, 2, 3. And then he's been out of the playoffs the last 3 seasons, and he's been right around 500 2 of those 3 seasons. But I think he is trying to make a move for the playoffs again this year. I do remember, this is the one snapshot I do remember from the offseason center, but no team added more war in the trade market this season for Collins. So if the guys that he picked up perform like they did last year, they should be adding some much needed depth to this team and making them much scarier. And they are off to a pretty good start, 16-10, so they're playing well through April anyways. Let's take a look at the team and see what his strategy is. Yeah, the first thing that kind of sticks out to me, he had 5 lefties in his lineup. So um, left-handed hitters, curious if that's a ballpark thing or the other type of strategy. Not necessarily a better park for lefties. It's pretty even keeled. So must be something else beyond that strategy. Maybe he just likes these players. Let's take a look here. Walters in the leadoff spot, you know, good speed, get on base. Put up a solid 3.5 WAR the last few seasons, and he's a good defender. Center field, it looks like, with that good range. Oh, not a bad piece there in the leadoff spot. Lindahl, I recognize this name here as like he was traded with the Seals back in 2004. That might have been in the, I don't want to say, maybe in the Bill Bryce. Don't know. That's but Lindahl looks like a really, really nice bat. You know, contact gap, home run. I think those are 3 sexy bars to have together. And he's still developing as well. So off to a nice start this season. And I think he'll be able to carry the middle of this lineup pretty well. Only 23 years old, about to be 24. He's also a good leader, so he might be like a captain type personality as he grows. So a fantastic piece to have there at the top of the lineup. Kyle Lacey at third. He's a veteran. He's been in the league for a minute now. He's 36, just turned 36. He's been super solid, and he's probably the most recognizable name left on the Roosters as he's been with the Roosters since the beginning. And he avoided getting traded away for a while there. Kyle was a seller a couple seasons ago. He avoided that deadline, and he's now pretty much a name brand there with the fans. Very popular there. Not extremely popular though. So I guess he's not much of a personality. Looking at the rest of this lineup, you know, pretty mid-range. Mike McGoldrick, he's on a couple teams now. Fort Collins is his 4th stop, so it looks like this was an off-season pickup. Paying him pretty healthily. He's hitting down there in the 8th spot, but this is a nice guy if he can perform. He's underperforming right now, and he definitely did he have a down season or was he like he had a lot of injuries last 4 months. Left him out most of Yeah, I like the top of the lineup. I'm not so impressed with some of the other pieces. Very similar to Denver, I would say, in that respects. Looking at the rotation here, say that's kind of similar to Denver as well, although I think I would give Denver the nod in that matchup. Jimmy Adamic, though, definitely not a piece to sneeze at. This guy's been really, really good here. Looking at him going into his fourth season, he only pitched the end of the 2004 season, so this is his third full season with the team, and he's been pretty good. Last year, definitely not the greatest, not the greatest season, but I think if he can, let's see here, stay healthy, he will be able to do some good things for Fort Collins. Obviously, suffered the 6 to 7 week injury last year, so holding your breath with him right now. Hope it doesn't turn into a trend. You're looking down here, Sam Hunt, left-handed pitcher. Again, he's got like 5 super nice pitches. I like this guy. Another one that you hope stays healthy at the torn UCL, 14 month. Been pretty healthy since then, so he's 23 years old. This is another pretty young team. The starting rotation's pretty young. I know we got Kyle Lacey up here. The Aguilar, as I'm saying, is a pretty young team. Maybe the oldest guy in the league, the number 3 pitcher for Fort Collins right now. Obviously, 2005 Pitcher of the Year award, and then he's taken a hit, but at 40, you can only expect that. This guy's an age. Let's hope he finishes his career strong here. He's pitching pretty well this year. Fort Collins, I think, I don't know about you guys, but when someone gets over 40 and he's still relevant, I'm rooting for them to be able to put up numbers. I think that's cool. And he's rocking the 6-man rotation. We haven't mentioned that yet, so I'm always curious if that's like a strategy GMs, you know, if they stick it with it all season long, if sometimes they just, don't know who to put down and they want to just keep like 6 guys up so they expand it. I think there's a lot of different reasons to do it. So not sure what Kyle's reasons are or if this is something he usually does. I can't recall from previous seasons. Ovar's off to a great start, huh? 4 starts, 0.78 ERA right now. 23 years old, about to be 24, young developing pitcher. Really young pieces in the rotation. That's to lead the way. I don't hate Fort Collins' team. I think they're pretty good this year. I notoriously feel like they're they're not shiny. They're like the Spurs, not as dominant as the Spurs, but I don't know. They've been good, but they're never like super. They don't have any super shiny pieces. So I think they can be competitive this year, and I think they might be right in the hunt there towards the end. Looking at the next team, or let's take a look at the system real quick, and then we'll look at the next team. Fort Collins has a pretty deep system. It looks like 25 top 500 prospects. They got the number 9 prospect overall. He's still a ways away down there in A plus, but got a couple guys down in like the A plus, A minus A level that look like they're going to be pretty talented. And Tyler Hill is not far away here. Good offensive bars. You might be able to play a corner outfield here. Um, yeah, that's a nice looking piece. So 19th overall pick there in 2003 is not far away. All right, let's go on to the next team. That is the Tampa Bay Cannons. Tampa Bay had a rough season last year. Dick went from first to worst. 2005 J Division champions, and then 2006 J Division cellar dwellers. And I talked with him mid-season. I mean, there were some pretty clear reasons why his team went in the wrong direction, and it's unfortunate. A lot of them were out of his control. I should add that part. Chris Carmody is the number 1 reason that we talked about. And this guy just, I don't know if you remember, this guy was a stud. 2001, 2002, 2003 All-Star. He is 33 years old, so guys do fall off at this age. And again, we inherited these players, so who knows what the wear and tear was on any of these guys. Before we started this league, since it was guys that kind of came in with major league service time. But he fell off an absolute cliff, maybe as bad as I've ever seen, going from an elite pitcher to just nothing really, really quick in 2005. So, I mean, right before he got signed to a massive contract too. He's at the end of that now. Finally, I'm sure Dick's breathing a sigh of relief. Know that next year he's going to have a lot more flexibility. But he had signed an $84 million deal and then just completely fell off the cliff. He will waive his no trade clause. So if anybody wants Chris Carmody's services here, you know who to call. All right, looking at the rest of his team. And again, I mean, I think Dick knows this, but it's rebuild mode, and he's in a very, very competitive division. So let's see what he has for young pieces, and I'm curious what he does this year with his team. I'm sure he's going to have some mid pieces that will be helpful to a championship team that he could ship off for some assets if he gets aggressive with the trade deadline. Looking at Jay Drust here, 28 years old, and he kind of dropped off last season. He was someone that really took a hit statistically. He's off to a really hot start this year, though, so maybe he can bounce back here. It looks like it's his 5th season with Tampa Bay, and he was just trending up until last season. So, sometimes guys just have an off year. Maybe this year's a chance to bounce back. And part of it might have been, when you go from a championship team, you're putting up 5 WAR in a championship team, and then you find yourself in the cellar. That is going to affect their mood and morale. If you read in the manual, that can really affect their performance as well. So sometimes you don't read into a 1.6 WAR season. For a guy you might think is a perennial all-star, be close. Jay Drust, I really like Jay Drust. They're in the leadoff spot. Kevin Supan, this guy looks pretty young, maybe a rookie this year. Looks like he's a rookie this year. We'll see if he can be good. He put up 5 WAR last year in AAA, so 3rd round pick back in 2003. Let's see if he can produce in this 2 spot. Hitting 309 this year, so that's kind of nice. See. Justin Scott here in the 3 spot, 25 years old. Ron Blackwell, 24 years old. So notice all these guys are pretty young, and that's, a lot of the teams in this division have some young talent. So it's going to be an arms race, I think, for the next few years for some of these teams. Again, this team's rebuilding, but Ron Blackwell looks like a kind of piece you might be able to rebuild around if you can develop a little bit more. He had how many homers last year? 43 homers across the 2 minor league systems. Put up 7.4 WAR. So Blackwell's a rookie. Scott's in his 2nd season. Supan's a rookie. This team is super, super young. It looks like maybe the first full season here for Matt Purdy. I don't know if this is injury related. 5 weeks, so it might have been. Played 90 games last year. Put a 4 WAR, so had a nice season. He's already playing really well this season. He's good. I actually like Tampa Bay's lineup this year. I mean, they were projected to win like 79 games, right? Like in 7th place, so no slouch. Just a little luck in the right direction. He could be a winning record and a playoff team. I mean, obviously the scary thing is the rotation. Honestly, at this point, Dick, my advice to you, and you can ask in chat, but cut your losses. Let Chris Carmody go. It's just $28 million. Already locked up. Go find someone else to put in that rotation. You've got $22 million to spend. There's someone better than this 30-30 overall with a 35 fastball, 30 slider, right? Like, go find someone, put in your rotation to fill that spot. And you don't have a ton of depth, but I mean, even like shorten it up to a 5-man rotation, like fuck Chris Carmody at this point. I think he needs to go. Unless, of course, you have that sentimental value. I don't want to tell you what to do with your team. And he has been a 3-time All-Star for the Cannons. So it's about the fans, I get that, but he's got nothing left, in my opinion. The rest of your rotation's not bad either. Like Omar Ramirez, his 4 nice pitches, not great stuff, but like great movement and control. So he could work, I think, right? Like as a piece. Oppo's young and developing. I don't know. Robert Patino too. This guy's having a tough year, but that's what that control is going to kill you, probably, right? He walks. Yeah. I mean, I don't hate the rotation here. I don't hate the lineup. I actually don't hate this team at all. I do think there's some minor things that could be fixed, make it a stronger team. Ooh, I don't like that. Definitely need. I'm just looking at relievers. Oh, okay. More pitchers. Definitely some pieces here you can replace just with anybody on the free agency market. I feel like at this point, right? There's better pitchers out there. You've got $22 million, so not too late. 10-16. If you want to try to be competitive this year, you might have an opportunity for a minute, but wouldn't let it slip too much. Looking at Tampa Bay's system, Tampa Bay has a ton of prospects. Super deep system. So, um, I think we looked. A lot of their players are young. So Blackwell's their top. A lot of their top players are actually in the TBL now. It looks like maybe 4 of these guys are on the team. We mentioned we had seen a couple of rookies, so they're going to be pulled out of this list. But he's got some other reinforcements behind. Maybe he can replace up soon. So like they're all an A, low A minus. So yeah, tough decision I think for Tampa Bay, right? Do you try to compete with a very strong class or not? Anyways, on to the last team, or that was the last team. So that's the A division. If I had to rank them here real quick, I'm going to have to go with Las Vegas as the number 1 team. I think number 2 for me, probably Galveston again this year. Really like the pitching. I think Denver could sneakily be the 3rd best team in this division. I don't think if this was the actual preseason, this is what I would be doing, but I think Denver picking up that pitcher is going to make him very dangerous down the stretch. I'm going to put Atlanta in 4th. I just think recovering from the tough start is going to be tough. I'm going to put New Orleans 5th because I'm really worried about the pitching. That's a pretty bold prediction and kind of disrespectful to Noah because he was 17-9 through April. So he could just middle finger me the rest of the season, and I would just have to take that. So good luck doing that, Noah. I hope you have a great season. Number 6, I'd have to go with Fort Collins. I think, right? I like the team. I said they're going to be competitive this year, but I'm just scared to put anybody else lower than that. And then I think Tampa's going to be 7th, but again, I think Tampa's like also on the verge of being possibly a playoff team if they fix a few things. So I think literally any team here could make the playoffs, but I do think there's just like a tremendous amount of talent in this division. And yeah, that's my guess. I definitely think 4 of the teams for the playoffs are coming from this division. I think only 2 will come from the Sapphire when things are said and done. All right, we're going to switch over to the Sapphire in just a minute here. I'm going to go grab a drink because I'm coughing up a storm partway through that first division. So I'm going to grab a drink, take a couple minute break, and then we'll pick things up with the remainder of the podcast. All right, take a look at the Sapphire division. Last year, division winner was New York Griffins. Matt brought his team back to the top of the division. Obviously, our big league champion back in 2004, and then had a disappointing 2005 season, but he was determined to make it work last year. I think he made some pretty big moves. I terrible memory, so I'm not going to tell you what those are. But he's got some big contracts on the books right now, so he's flipped a couple of guys, but I'm not sure if he's trying to win. I'm not really sure. He may be flipping more guys. He may be bringing in a ton of assets this year if he's trying to sell, because there are a lot of big names on this team. Taking a look at his Gary Smith here in the middle of the rotation still, just 31 years old and super, super consistent player over his career so far. Former, like, almost MVP stat type player in his mid 20s, but still a really, really just like talented player, one of the better players in the league, I'd say, just super consistent. It's so funny how consistent his bars are. If you look at it, it's like 55, 60, 55, 60 for everything. That's really tremendous. Then he's got Crudis here, who's nothing really special, right, in the 4 spot. I mean, this lineup's okay. There's some okay pieces, right, but nothing really stands out about it. I do like Matt Johnson a lot. I mean, he's not fast. Not sure if he's the prototypical leadoff guy, but can get on base like really, really well. 386 on base percentage so far this year, and just over his career, 370. Don't hate having him hitting high up in the order. TJ Dowden in his looks like maybe second full season with the Griffins, and he hasn't been great so far. He hasn't been great in his career, to be honest. Kind of average. I'm kind of surprised why. I mean, his offensive bars look pretty nice. They're not fully developed in personality. Weird how guys don't work sometimes. He's struggled on defense. He's been playing shortstop, so that doesn't help. He is not a shortstop. So maybe he's better than what his statistics are showing in WAR. So his, 33 doubles, that's not bad in 133 games. That's pretty good. The 292. He's a good offensive player. If he plays in the right position, could be a great offensive player. And he is at first base right now, so maybe that's looking to correct some past problems. Yeah, jeez. And you must have really been struggling infield depth last. Let's see, what else do we got going on here? Brian Wilson, a nice fielder. Hasn't been really tremendous in terms of statistics. A terrible year last year, 2.2 WAR, pretty young. Great fielder, 17.5 WAR. 26-year-old? Man, that is insane. So he's maybe the best center fielder defensively in the league. He's a team captain. Nice piece to have out there. I need to update these uniforms. That's going to drive me crazy now that I've seen this. Figure out how to do that. And then on the pitching side, he's got some nice pieces in the rotation here. Again, what did he just trade away? He just traded away Inguiano, right? That was just New York and Denver. He traded away a closer or a back end piece of his bullpen, I believe. But he still has a couple of good pieces. So Mike Harold, one of the better back end pieces in the league so far, I think. The 48 career saves. He's just been pretty consistent throughout his career. Like he used to pitch for me. That's why it's but he's also a captain. I mean, this is a great piece to have as well. So second captain we've come across on this. Newton's not terrible. 3 nice pitches. I like him. Alex Lopez, he's the ace, and he's been really, really good. ever since getting acquired from Louisville, I believe. Yeah, New York. They're off to a terrible start, 7-19, just like Atlanta, and they've sold pieces, so that made me think they were selling. So I don't really know what's going on with them. They've got nice pieces still. Maybe those pieces are soon to be on other teams, or maybe they flip the switch and they turn it around. Because there is one thing that we know: it's the Sapphire division right now is not the Jade division. It's not going to be as difficult to make a run at things. We've seen teams in this division make runs. We've seen Somerville do it a couple times. I mean, the bad news for New York, we're going to get to Somerville in a minute, but it is an odd year, so Somerville's probably going to make the playoffs based off of precedent. So, all right, yeah, New York, 90 wins last year, slow start this year. Let's look at the preseason predictions now at the beginning of this. New York's looking to be a sub 500 team, as are most of the teams in this division. Montreal really the only one predicting to have a nice season going so far because they're off to a really, really hot start. But New York, 7-19. We'll see if they can turn things around. We'll see if they sell. Gonna look real quick. I think they could probably use a few assets. I know they've been very aggressive these last few years. They have some nice pieces, but they don't have a lot of depth. These guys are nowhere near close. So when the window closes for New York for a minute. So if that time begins now, we're gonna be here in the next few months. All right, on to the next team, Montreal. Machine, the champions, back in 2005. They've been a postseason team every year that Tim's had them here in the league. They're off to a really hot start this year in a division that doesn't look like it's anything spectacular. So Steve Moss, outside of BJ Swart, is smashing the ball. He had 54 home runs last year, so he's just kind of picked up where he left off. He's on pace for 69 this year. See if he continues that pace. But I remember a lot of these names from the championship year 2 years ago, and they're all still here. So this team is as dangerous as ever, I would say. Travis Plath, his second season, he was rookie last year, and he won Rookie of the Year. Up to 10.7 WAR pace. Again, only through April, and a lot of the stuff will auto-correct itself. But he's sitting 368 with 9 home runs and 22 RBIs already. Amazing. Vinny Penalver hitting 378 already. Real red hot out of the gate, both offensively and defensively. If you look at the, offensively, defensively, and pitching. If you look at the stat ranking, I believe they lost the divisional championship. They were the team that knocked off New Orleans last year, I think, in the 3-game sweep. So if they get into the postseason again, they could definitely make a run. They've got that championship experience roster. Pitching doesn't look as deep as it used to. I think Matt Mace is another guy, right? Like, he was projecting to be a stud. He still looks really nice, but he's not looking like maybe a 1 anymore. Maybe he's looking like a 2 or a 3 rotation, right? Maybe not in this rotation. Maybe he's a 1, but in this rotation looks like it's okay, but maybe not as deep as it's been in the past. Kind of been their MO the last few years. So this might be kind of a switch where offense is more a threat than the defense. Really nice hitting catcher. He is going to be maybe a rookie this year, 73 games last year, so he technically didn't get a year service time. The bullpen looks really good as well. Seth Clemens, a top-end piece. Elmer Gonzalez, a top-end piece. Tim Miller, a top-end piece. This might be the best bullpen in the league. Really no weakness here. Ryan Hidgen looks not bad at all. 20-6, not a bad team. I think they're going to continue to be good. I think they're going to win this division easily. I think the one thing that might cause you pause is not having a top end piece here in the rotation. Again, pretty good depth, but just not that standout piece. I wonder if that's injury related. Oh yeah, I mean duck breast, but duck breast is trash now. Um, Definitely a big mistake by Tim. I think we should point that out. I don't know if you'll listen to the podcast or not, but I don't think he was paying attention to the injury history on this one. I think if we called him out for that right now on the podcast, he might agree to that in chat. But I mean, a guy that's missed 10 months, 6 months, 12 months, 45. This dude doesn't do day to day, guys. This guy, when he goes to a hotel, he's a resident. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't check in for the night. He's there to move the kids in. This guy stays. So we will never see this guy pitch. 13-month injury right away. Happened in spring training. Just brutal. This is just wasted money at this point, which is unfortunate. But Tim will figure it out, I'm sure. Only 12 million. I mean, at least it's not a huge dent, but that's money wasted. Yeah. So Montreal, I think they're going to be a wicked good team, even despite that contract. Looking at their system real quick, they still have some depth. I mean, that's why I thought 3 or 4 years ago that Montreal would be standing atop of this division, and I mentioned that on the podcast because they had really good depth, and this division was absolutely barren after 2001, 2002, 2003. We started off in that kind of arms race situation with the trades early on in this league, um, but finally it looks like it's starting to empty out a little bit. There's some younger players here still developing. No one really close that's gonna maybe be reinforcements this year. It looks like Arnold, that fifth rotation guy, he's a rookie. He's actually pitching pretty nice this year so far. So Matt Bennett, also a rookie. That is the machine. So I think Tim's going to be back in the postseason for at least the fourth straight year, and see who joins him here as we look through the rest of the division. Next up, we have the the Washington Generals. So this was our other transplant here this season. Steve has packed the bags up in the middle of the night, didn't tell anybody, and he is now in Washington. And his team's off to a very, I don't know, is this what we're going to call a Washington-y start? They're 13-13. This seems familiar. But maybe this is the team. Maybe this is the year that Steve can figure out how to get over that hump. I mean, he was and hasn't been, if you guys remember. Let's look at his meet the team here. He's won 84 games 2 of the last 3 seasons and hasn't made the postseason. Absolutely brutal. Let's look at his actual team history here. 86 wins, missed the postseason. 85 wins, missed the postseason. 84 wins twice. I mean, I guess you can say the 80 win and the 60 win season definitely should have missed the postseason, but man, the luck has been as bad as it gets for this franchise so far. So maybe this change again. What gets this team to the 2 seed? I don't think they're beating Montreal, but maybe gets them to the 2 seed, gets them a playoff spot this year. Taking a look at their team real quick. A lot of expiring contracts, not a lot of guys locked up long term, so there's some flexibility with the direction this team goes in. Another team with a lot of money. I feel like most of the league has a lot of money. Maybe I need to make an adjustment. I'll put that in proposals maybe in the future just to see what you guys think. It feels like a lot of people have money left over right now, so maybe people's demands are slightly too low. Anyways, getting off track here. Looking at his lineup real quick, Steve has John Lair hitting the leadoff spot. This is a guy that looks like he should be able to get on base and steal some bases. Definitely off to a rough start here so far this year. He did steal 34 last year. He was only caught 4 times. So if he can turn things around, nice piece at the top of the rotation there. Jason Kohler, obviously this guy's been an absolute stud. 2004 MVP, on-base machine. He walked, that is amazing. He walked 167 times last year. I mean, he's going to set some records here that may not be broken if he has a long career because those walk totals are absolutely outrageous. Yeah, Jason Kohler looks really good. Maybe not as good as he used to, but still pretty talented. Looking at the rest of this team here, not the deepest lineup. There's some nice pieces here. He's always been able to put together a pretty kind of, a lot of pieces that don't stand out as like superstars, but they've performed and just been consistently good. His offense has been really good year in and year out. I don't love this guy. Definitely is going to give up a little bit to your pitching staff when your outfielder doesn't have great range or ability. Like McKenzie a lot here. This guy looks great. Really great season last year. 4.7 WAR, and he's off to a nice start again this year. Nice piece. Like he was a rookie in 2005, so we kind of missed his debut. He came in and didn't have a tremendous rookie year, right? And then he kind of just bursted onto his scene sophomore year, so that can happen sometimes. Give him a minute to get acclimated. Another guy last year, Carlos Lozano, was a rookie, put up a decent season last year, and now he's off to a really hot start. Really love these defensive bars. Obviously, not a great offensive player with avoid K's maybe, but looks like a really great defender, and he's a captain, a leader in the clubhouse. 29-year-old here. Like he's been a lifelong guy for the organization. I'm finally giving him some name recognition here on the podcast. So looking on, yeah. So I mean, no superstars here, but not a terrible lineup. Looking at the rotation here, I mean, this is kind of where maybe we have some issues, right? There are some bad-looking pitchers in this rotation. Still Morales, hate the pitching, ours per se, but I mean, I don't say rating's everything, but rating definitely something, right? It's got to indicate something's wrong under the hood. We'll see if he can pitch well. Looks like he's a recent call-up, maybe due to some injuries. Hey, Craig Thatcher, so he was probably in the starting rotation. Andrew Spear as well, maybe. No, this guy's been out, but Thatcher maybe was in one spot. Sanchez looks okay. I remember Sanchez from his Virginia years. This guy's been pretty solid throughout his career as a pitcher. I like that pickup for Steve. It looks like he was a free agent signing here this year, so that might boost the rotation. That's something he definitely needed to address. He was giving up record runs last year. Oh, this guy's struggled as well. Not great control. That's really tough when you give up 93 walks in a season. I think this is the weakness right here, the rotation, and easy to be a weakness in this league because pitching isn't super deep. But if he was going to go make a move, let's say, try to find a starter out there in the market. Because, I mean, look at the bullpen. The bullpen's nice, right? There's some decent pieces here. And they're pitching pretty well so far. You don't get down to the bottom. These guys aren't pitching. But, yeah, I mean, three-time All-Star Austin Johnson here. This guy's not terrible. Otis. Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, I think Steve, yeah, and he's going to be right there. Who the hell knows how it's going to play out? Maybe that luck's been shaken out by moving to Washington. I don't think he's winning the division, but I think his team compete like it does every single year. I just hope if you get to the deadline, Steve, and you're close, you make that move. I hope you go get a piece. And I hope it pays off. I do. So I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for all the teams that have yet to make the postseason. So Denver, I think, Washington, Milwaukee. Although Milwaukee might be another year or two away. Season's going so far. But all right, on to the Washington General system here. Not a bad system. 22 top 500 prospects and several highly touted prospects here. Fred Cox is not far away. He's sitting there in AAA. Let's see when he brings him up. And this guy is really, really nice. I mean, 15th overall pick in 2003. So a nice find. Not sure how well he's going to play the outfield. I mean, that's really a liability. That error and arm, I feel like other ratings look like maybe even I would train him up at second base, or if you can't put him at first base. But looks like he's going to be tremendous hitter. And I don't know, maybe you put him in the outfield with that range until he says he can't do it, right? Maybe he can do left field with that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But I like him a lot. Fred Cox looks really great. The rest of his guys are pretty far away, so not really close. I think Zachary Fast right now is a rookie on the team. I don't know if we highlighted him. Second baseman on the team, Zachary Fast. Got nice bars as well. Off to a nice start. He had 5.5 WAR last year in AAA's. On pace for 5 WAR this year, but again, very early. Nice looking piece for Washington. So those are our generals. We'll see what they can do this year. Next up, we have Somerville. Somerville Moneyline. 79 wins last year for JR's team. Off to a hot start this season. And I say it on the podcast all the time. He's an odd season type of GM because every time we have an odd season, makes the postseason with a really good team. And then he misses. Been the most inconsistent GM in the league, but like in a good way. Like you're going to take postseason berths. You just can't seem to do it back to back. It's kind of funny. Probably not for him, but I like patterns. Looking at his team this season. JR's team. Let's see here. Here we go. Jesse Montgomery in the leadoff spot. So the center fielder, not the best offensive player, but quick and can play the outfield. Like just some really young guys. Joyner, only 22 years old, still developing, but like it was his best option in the field. He's a really great fielder. Play all 3 positions in the outfield really well. Wilson Reyes here at first base. If we're looking at JR's lineup here, again, another very lefty heavy lineup, even heavier than the team we had seen previously. I'm forgetting. I think it was Fort Collins. I'm forgetting. But 6 lefties in the lineup here. Very impressive. I don't know why I said very impressive. Probably because I'm a lefty. Lefties rule. But I don't know. I don't think JR has the deepest lineup. I don't love any of these pieces. There's a lot of like mid pieces. I think he really is emphasizing defense because I do like some of these guys in terms of being mid-range offensive players and then like kind of more plus defenders. So Raul Ortiz has not played a good shortstop so far this year. Doesn't have a very good arm. So yeah, I don't know. He's 18-8. I mean, it's working right now. Let's take a look at the rotation, see what we've got going on there. DJ Marksberry obviously is one of the better pitchers in the league and is a lifelong money line. If he keeps his career here, and he's one of the few guys we were just talking about. A lot of these early PBL pitchers, the guys that were the studs, have all fallen off. Marksberry has not. He's 28 and he's still doing great. So like where we've seen Kerrigan decline, where we've seen Campos decline, Marksberry is still a stud. It's an unbelievable start this year. Just a 1.09 ERA, 33. And looking at the rest of this rotation, that's the focus, I think, on this team right now. David Konopka here, excuse me. Looks like he's in his second full season, maybe injured last year. What's going on here? Looks like he didn't pitch. He pitched out of the bullpen. Okay. So it looks like he's been moved into the starting rotation this year after being a bullpen piece last year. Blake Peterson here. Several good pitches. He's a good leader here in the clubhouse. So I do like the rotation. I think that looks pretty good for the money line. Looking at the bullpen, I think their bullpen is also pretty good. It's got a couple of really deep pieces. But I will say, I think JR is one of those GMs that always gets the most out of his team because, looking at his lineup, I'm not blown away. I'm not blown away by any of the bats here. Like, Bill Rose, nothing, nothing amazing about Bill Rowe, I don't think. Wilson Reyes, I mean, again, all these guys, they're just very kind of like consistent bars, and consistent like 3 to 4 WAR players, I guess. But that's nothing to sneeze at. If you can get consistency, just yeah, I don't love this team at all, but they're off to a hot start, and it's 2007, so I'd pick them maybe to be the second place team in the division. They might be able to hold this lead and stick right where they're at this year. Taking a look at the system, 24 top 500 prospects here. Just kind of looking through some decent depth. A few pieces here in AAA, so I just like to see who's lurking in terms of top prospects, right? These guys might be in the league by the end of the year. Dennis Hoy looks really nice. Really, really nice. I like the contact gap combo there. The overall pick back in 2005, so he's developing really quickly as well. Yeah, a couple guys in AA, a couple guys in AAA, so reinforcements coming just to strengthen this club even further here if these guys can develop up. Somerville, I think they're a medium of the pack kind of team that can definitely make the playoffs in this division. That brings us to our 5th place team last year, and from here it just gets ugly, folks. These next 3 teams had really, really bad seasons. Coming in 5th place was Philadelphia Eagles, Dan's team, 52-110, and that was 5th place. So 52-110 for the Philadelphia Eagles. And honestly, like the Sapphire last year just got absolutely butthurt by the Jade division. They just got absolutely destroyed head to head. So, I mean, there were just so many bad teams in this division. It's crazy. We'll see if Dan did anything to change his luck this year. He's off to a 13-13 start, and I do feel like he went out and had some signings. He obviously has George Reed, who's one of the best pitchers in the league. This guy consistently just puts up amazing seasons, and he won the Cy Young or the Pitcher of the Year award back in 2003. So, really, really great pitcher there. He's still young, I think. Lefty, 28 years old. Another one of those guys that didn't fall off and continued to be dominant here in the league. Then after that, it's not super deep here. The rotation, definitely towards the end of the rotation, it's just like going in. It looks like here. Don't love Rico. Definitely don't like Cardenas. So I think his rotation's pretty terrible. Expect them to do very good this year. Bullpen's also pretty shallow. There's like really no top end talent pieces here. And if you look, I mean, there are better pieces in free agency. So if he has any money, he does. Hopefully he can just go and update his team a little bit here because they're not looking great on that side of the ball. Looking at the offense, got Logan Brower here, 25 years old. Looks like he's in his sophomore campaign. Didn't have a good season last year, but he's off to a nice start this year, so maybe he can turn it around. Don't really like this guy. He doesn't look very good at all. First baseman, no gap power. Dan is clearly in tank mode. I'm gonna say that because I've seen him win a championship. He won one in this league. Dan was our first champion, 2001. He's won a championship in my other league where it's highly competitive. So he is certainly in flip the switch mode where he's looking to be bad for a couple of years to try to get some top end talent maybe in the draft and build around those hopefully successful picks, right? Go too deep into Dan's team. Let's look at the front office, see if he's got some flexibility. I bet he does. Yeah, everybody's expiring. He's only got 68 million on the books right now, so clearly not competing. The only guy he's paying is George Reed, and I have to imagine George Reed is on the trade block for the right offer. As are any of these guys. So shopping this off season, excuse me, maybe give Dan a call. Taking a look at the system here real quick. This system was as bad as it gets a couple seasons ago, and it's starting to turn the corner. Still not super impressive. There's some good pieces here, but if you are you're looking to be competitive again, definitely be competitive in a more long-term fashion, then I think Dan's a ways away. So I think Dan and the Philadelphia Eagles are one of the more obvious rebuilding projects that we have here in the league so far, and he's going to have to commit to turning things around if he's going to want to be competitive again, even in a very non-competitive division at the moment. Looking at the next team and matching the 52 and 110 Philadelphia Eagles is the 52 and 110 Lehigh Valley Scrapples. So Kyle and the Scrapples have been pretty bad for a couple seasons now as well. They were a playoff team in 2001, 2, and 3. Sometimes making some pretty miraculous runs to get there to the playoffs. And then in 2004, they just missed with 86 wins and blew it up completely. 45 wins after that, 52 wins after that. They're looking to maybe be bad again this year. They're 8 and 18 already. They've really got not much going on for them. So let's take a look at what is going on for them. Chris Hanna is going on for them. Everybody remembers Chris Hanna. Just under $2 million. At least you didn't sign him for 5 years. He's terrible. I mean, he's done, right? He's cooked. So if anybody hasn't looked up at Chris Hanna yet, this guy probably shouldn't be on a major league team anymore. Look at the rest of the rotation. I mean, they're just as bad. Javon Cooper and Jordan Adame, actually. It's so funny. He's got him in the 4-5 spot, so I was thrown off there. So he's got 2 nice pitchers. I take that back. Javon Cooper has been really, really good, and it looks like he's a free agent signing this year. I'm stealing him from division rival New Orleans. We'll see if that, not division rival, but conference rival New Orleans. Only got him on a 3-year deal, and he has opt-outs. So we'll see if he stays in Lehigh longer, if this is just a quick stop. And then looking at Adame, this is also a free agent signing this year, and he signed him super early. He was really aggressive in free agency, paid him 3 years, and he's gone for at least the next 2 here. Getting attacked by like this freaking spider. All right, sorry about that. But yeah, Adame. So he's got 2 nice pieces. Obviously, Adame, a previous Pitcher of the Year award winner in 2002 for, is that Louisville at the time? He pitched for. Yeah, Louisville. So, but looking at this team, I think the recipe is similar to Dan's team. This team is going to suck. No one special that here, I would say, in the rotation lineup. I don't hate Symington. This has been terrible in terms of bars and a leadoff guy, switch hitter. Could definitely be good. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. I don't know. I don't know what Kyle's plan is here. I mean, he's added some pieces. He doesn't really have a rotation, so might be the mystery here. I don't know if he's trying to compete this year. He has some young pieces that he thinks are on the horizon in the next 2 or 3 years that he's trying to pair these pitchers with. So he's trying to boost up his rotation a year in advance. Like I don't know what the strategy is here by adding these guys. Because I mean, look at this rotation. Excuse me, this lineup. I keep saying that backwards. There's nobody good here. These are all bottom of the barrel players. So to bring in some sexy pitchers early in free agency was definitely an interesting move on his part. Why don't we just skip right to the rotation? Let's see what to the system. Let's see what we got going on here. We do have some good prospects, not the deepest system. No one's really that close. We do have some rookies. Looks like here. It looks like Tyler Rodriguez is playing at the major league level. I'm not sure if he's ready. We'll have to see. Only a 30 overall. And maybe his scout's different, though. This is only OSA, of course. And then Rob Starling here, also at the major league level, it looks like. And he is, maybe not actually. Looks like he hasn't played the majors yet. Says he's there, but whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Someone asked Kyle what he's doing in chat. I'm not sure. Kyle, what's your plan? Please tell us. That is my assessment of the Lehigh Valley Scrapples. I don't know what they're doing, and I think they're going to be bad, and that's okay. Hopefully they have a plan someday be good again. That brings us to our seventh place team, and that is the Austin Boom, Jack's team. And so Jack's preseason predictions had him at like 55 games, and he said something like, I guarantee that won't happen this year. Then he lost his first 7 games. Said it might happen this year. So he's kind of turned things around since then. I mean, he's like 7-12 since then, which isn't great, but it's definitely better than a 55 win pace, I think. So maybe he gets above that total. We'll have to see how the rest of his season plays out and if he can kind of turn things around. I mean, look at his team. It's kind of the same story as Lehigh and Philly. There's really no lineup here. I mean, just look at these team position rankings again. I mean, this can hide some hidden gems maybe, but yeah, nobody on this team is really good. Nick Kennedy is a top prospect, the number 4 prospect in the league. It looks like he's in the lineup right now. Or if I would do that yet, if it was me, excuse me. And he only played in the rookie league last year. So Jack's taking a big risk with his development right here. Hate for you to have to ruin a top prospect of yours if he doesn't just well. He did put up really great numbers like in just one sim in the on deck circle, which is AA. So got 50 contacts. So I'm not going to question the move, but it definitely is a risk. And looking at the rest of this team, I mean, there's some middle of the line pieces here. Steve Anderson's a 3-time All-Star. This kind of just think he's stepped down a little bit. Leos looks like he's an on base, possibly not an on base machine. Excuse me, a hitting machine, 300 hitter so far. But yeah, again, this lineup looks pretty terrible. Jack is the 4th team of 4 who have not made the postseason. I don't think this is his year yet, given a look at this lineup. He's made some great moves, though, in the draft, and we're going to look at that in a second. He's had some top picks, and they've been turned into top prospects. I am scared for you for Nick Kennedy here. 2nd overall pick just last year. Quick to have him up there. But again, this is OSA. Maybe Jack Scout has him at like 50 of 80 already or 55 of 80. Who knows? You know, this is low scouting, so being overly critical. Looking at the bullpen here, the rotation we can look at real quick. Boyd Perry, here's another one, 40 of 80 by OSA. I wonder what Jack has him at, but he's the 6th overall pick in 2003. So he's bringing up his young guys. Let the young kids play, as they say, right? he's ready to start testing them out and seeing who's for real and who may not be. Paulson's another one. This is going to be his second year. Looks like he played a little bit last year towards the end of the season, came up for the last couple starts. He's back on the, maybe considered his rookie year this year, I think. Yeah, six-man rotation. Some of these guys don't look that great. So again, if we're talking about being competitive this year, I don't know if we're there yet. That's for sure. And some of these guys don't look super developed yet. When the pitching is shallow, I guess you got to do what you got to do. John Madsen, 30-45. I do feel like, people need to just like check free agency a little bit. Some of these pitchers on some of these rotations here in the Sapphire division are a little underwhelming, and I think you can just get better for literally freaking nothing in free agency at this point. So 50 of 70. This guy looks like he could be a good bullpen piece in the end. I hate seeing a 2020 changeup. I know it's better to have a third pitch than not have one at all, but yeah, I don't know. So that's Jack's team. He doesn't have got a few like unbelievably like high quality pieces that are sitting in the rotation here. We'll see if they turn in some nice seasons and then develop all the way up to where they're supposed to be. Take a look at what else he has in his system. As we remember, Matt Clark, the 1-1 overall, was also his pick back in 2005. Looks like Matt Clark is still developing, hasn't developed yet. Yeah, I am rooting for you, Jack. I want you to get to the postseason. I just hope you don't rush things because there's really no rush. Once you hit, you're gonna hit hard with some of these top players, and you're gonna be a top PM division, I think. So, you know what Jack told me today too? He's been playing since like Windows 95 or something like that. So, so I have no doubt that he's probably going to turn things around here eventually and get this team to the postseason. That's it. That's the end of the division, I believe. Let me just check. I almost forgot a team last time, so I think we did. Yep. Okay, well, if I forgot you, I feel terrible. But let me rank them. I think I'm going to go with Montreal at number 1. I'm going to give number 2 to Somerville. I think number 3 is Washington. Number 4, New York is, even if they sell, I'm going to give New York number 4. The rest of these teams are terrible. Lehigh added the pieces, the pitchers. I'm going to give them number 5. I'm going to give Philly number 6. I'm going to give Boston number 6. They brought up all these young kids, but I still think they have so many bad pieces. And then I'll give Philly number 7. They'll get off to a hot start this year, but I think it's all about to go downhill. So those are my predictions. Again, I'm taking four teams from the J division. And I don't know who's going to be in the championship this year. I have no clue. But I'm going to just go with the favorites right now. Las Vegas scares me. I think they're really good. So Las Vegas from Ice Conference is going to face off against. This is going to be Kingston's year. Kingston is going to win some playoff series. We're going to see a Kingston Las Vegas champ. So, all right. Best of luck to everybody this year. I know the podcast was late. I plead with you guys to do this podcast with me in the future because it is much more fun when you're talking with somebody. Talking by yourself for 3 hours, let me tell you, I feel like a megalomaniac. But hopefully you enjoy the content, and good luck with tonight's sim, and good luck with the rest of the season.